Back for another week on Detroit Sports Plus. Can you jam it? I love it, man.
It's hype. Good
It's hype. What
Monday.
up? What up? What up? Hype for a Monday. I don't think those two words can coincide together.
Well, when we're all together here, how could you be
that's
more excited?
that's magical.
Yeah, it's nothing.
That's
nothing
magical.
But magic.
Thank you for joining us here on Detroit Sports Plus. I'm Hobie Artigue along with Derek Hutchinson and Ken Haddad. No Benny hot takes today.
So sad.
So sad.
So somebody's gonna have to say something just completely off the wall.
Yeah.
Like,
to make
I don't
up
think
for
all
it.
three of us combined can reach that level.
I think
of
Nate
hot take.
Sudfeld is the best QB on the Lions roster.
Watch out, Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah,
How about that
pre?
preseason game, though?
Man, was
Lackluster.
it?
I mean, you expect it to be like some kind of, okay, but that was just 3 points.
Dreadful football. I don't ever want to watch it again. I was telling Hobie before the show, I went back and watched some of the highlights, and man, it hurt me inside.
Short video. Short highlight
it hurt
video.
me inside. Yeah,
There
wasn't
were
much going on.
some. There were some.
Yeah.
Maybe the best moment of the game, though, was the quarterback getting hurt, apparently, with Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really a bummer because, like you said, the game was so boring, especially the first half. They had one first down, the Lions offense, the whole first half. So then you come back, and Hendon Hooker actually leads an awesome drive, and then what do we see? He's heading to the locker room.
Yeah.
So it's like, back to Sudfeld.
It was just good to see him. Like,
Yeah.
he looked good, like he looked like he could play the position. Like, I'm not super concerned about it at this point. It's unfortunate that he's got a concussion and may not play again in the preseason, but he looked good. Like him moving the ball, just doing what he did at Tennessee. Like it was just it was nice to see.
I mean, we hadn't seen him in a Lions uniform.
Yeah,
we had
we've been
not
waiting.
seen him yet. Is that what you did expect, though, from Hendon Hooker?
Kind of like a version of the best case scenario of what I expected. You never know what you're going to get from a guy who's been off for so long. But Hendon Hooker was so awesome in college, like you said. The dude was probably going to win the Heisman Trophy if he didn't get hurt. So, and he came out and he looked really good. He looked super healthy too. The way he was running the ball, the way he just lit up that safety, which is probably when he got hurt.
Maybe you want to second guess that one, though.
But I mean, it's hard to blame him. Like he's a guy who's been chomping at the bit for all this time, and he's trying to win the backup quarterback job, and this is his chance.
Yeah. That was an awesome moment, though.
I
mean, that was by far. Just all the other highlights are nonsense. Hendon Hooker trucking the dude. That was awesome.
He made a nice throw and third down as well. I mean, he had as many or just about the same amount of passing yards as he did rushing yards, which is great. What you want to see from a guy for his first time in the NFL. But what you did see. Granted, we have to see him on the field again. That is the caveat to all this. But have you seen enough for him to be, especially with what we did see from Sudfeld, should he be the Lions' number 2 quarterback?
Well, I know
once
Nate
we get into
Sudfeld
week 1
should not be the Lions' number 2 quarterback, despite Derek's hot take from just minutes ago. I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with Hendon Hooker being our backup. It is a little scary, just because of the lack of experience and playing time. But maybe he's had a lot of time to study the offense. He's a smart dude. He's older, so it's not like he's this huge raw project. We kind of know what we have with Hendon Hooker, but I'm not 100% on it. I'm still a little nervous.
I didn't see enough from Hendon Hooker to declare him QB2, but I saw enough from Nate Sudfeld to declare him not QB2.
The thing is, and I brought this up last week, is as a coach, your QB2 is not built to go into the game.
Right.
It's not. He's about being the best studier and helping your starting quarterback be the best version of himself that he can be. So to your point, has he seen enough football to be that for Jared Goff? Or is Nate Sudfeld that guy? Because Sudfeld has been in the league for a long time now.
I know, but come on.
I
can't. It would be disingenuous for me to say Nate Sudfeld deserves a roster spot. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it just,
And he's a guy also coming back from injury, too, because he hadn't played for a very long time because he got hurt in the preseason last year.
Yeah, I think Sudfeld can do some of that stuff even if he was QB3 or if he was a practice squad guy that they could bring to the game. Hooker does also bring a little bit of a different element, which can be really nice to have in a backup QB, because if you're going to lose your starting quarterback, having a guy who gives the defense a very different look is a little bit of an extra advantage. So first things first, I want to see if he can actually come back and be healthy for maybe the 3rd preseason game or even going into the regular season, because right now we just don't know. And if he's not, then I think the Lions really need to look at outside options.
The one thing I will say about Nate Sudfeld, and I will give him a little break. He was running for his life the entire game. I mean, this guy, he's not the type of quarterback who needs to be scrambling the entire time. So, he was in a tough position there. He took a couple sacks, maybe a few sacks. And he was not in a clean pocket by any means. So, his numbers weren't good, obviously.
He took more than a few. He took 4.
There you go. Yeah. So they were coming for him, and that offensive line wasn't really helping him at all. So.
Of course, Hendon Hooker took all of the attention, it seems, from that first preseason game. But there were also some other bright spots, too. Any other guys that stood out to you from what you saw?
Yeah, pretty much the whole defense was a bright spot. I thought both of the rookie cornerbacks played well. I thought the secondary as a whole looked improved. Obviously, it's the Giants and not their starting squad, so you take it all with a grain of salt. But, the defense, and they got some pressure from some edge rushers that we weren't necessarily expecting to see it from. So, overall, I thought those two spots, which were the Lions' weakness last year, both looked pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I liked seeing pressure.
Yeah.
That was last year, that was a huge talking point for us, talking about the defense. Like, when are we going to get pressure? How are we going to get pressure? And they were sending guys left and right, and they were getting to the quarterback or at least forcing a bad throw.
I know it doesn't matter to get in a preseason game, but I'd rather get pressure in a preseason game than not, right?
Well, it's more like I was encouraged that was the scheme. That was like a huge part of the defensive plan.
And to Derek's point on that first drive, 3 things for me for the defensive backfield. You didn't hear Terrion Arnold's name called at all, which is great. That's what you want from your first overall pick. Ennis Rakestraw made one heck of a stop on third down. That's what he was billed as, is the guy who can be smash mouth football player at the cornerback spot, and he held a guy to no gain. And then Amik Robertson also had a great play, a nice PBU on that first drive. Guy that stood out to me, though, Sione Vaki.
I knew you were going to say this.
I said it. I said it last week, too, because I wanted to see what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And the way he ran between the tackles, if you would have told me that this was a guy who just stepped in and played running back last year because his team needed him to, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah. And, I mean, we saw last year, you think running back 3, does it really matter? We saw it last year. It mattered in the Bucs game. Craig Reynolds had to come in and basically be running back 1 for that whole week.
And maybe a top 5 play of the season with that block.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, Sione Vaki could carve out a role for himself. You never know. I mean, we just don't know anything about him really as a running back. So that was our first glimpse, and it was a positive one.
He was also helping a lot in pass protection, which they really needed.
And that's how you win your way to Dan Campbell's heart,
seriously,
too.
That is really what I thought. He picked up a couple blitzes, and I was like, oh, buddy, Dan's going to love this.
Yeah. Look at the contract Brock Wright got. Like, the Lions love blocking.
Yeah, they love it.
But also it speaks to that gritty team-first mindset. That's what they want. And let's factor in special teams, too, because the whole new kickoff format, that's a whole different ball game that they're going to have to figure out over the next 2 games. But that's another thing. That can earn him a roster spot.
Kicking and special teams has been the importance of that is way magnified with these new rules. I mean, we saw Jake Bates miss the 20-yard line, and they got to start at the 40. It was like, whoa, one first down and you're across midfield. It's like, wow, we really need to be like on our P's and Q's in the kicking game.
Yeah, it's going to take us a long time to get used to that, I think.
Oh, it's so weird.
We'll talk about the kicker battle coming up. Well, the one-man kicker battle as of right now. But we chatted with Ennis Rakestraw yesterday at Lions training camp to get his take on his first preseason game as a pro. Getting the first game out of the way. How's it feel?
It feels great. Like I just said, it's a dream come true. Not too many people get these opportunities, and I lost a lot of friends who wanted these opportunities. So just to step out there and boast them on my back and my family name and my mom name is great for me.
Well, that third down stop, I mean, that's kind of what you were billed as the cornerback, being a physical guy. Was that kind of like you in a nutshell of what you bring to the NFL?
Yes, sir. Obviously, he catched the ball. The thing is to get him down, limit him no yards. It was a gain of 0. The number one thing that hurt me the most was the goalpost. I'm 0-1.
You're 0-1.
Yeah, it kind of hurt it hitting that thing, but physicality is what I bring, and that's what I always go with.
Also, you're in the right spot on that interception, too. It looked like that set Brandon up. I mean, take me through that play. What did you see?
Trust the coverage. The coverage told me to be at that leverage, and I always trust my brother B-Joe. We work this every day in practice, and it showed up in the game, so he got the pick that he needed to get, and I was just happy for him. Bittersweet, because I wish I could have had the pick, but I'm just happy he did it because we worked on it so much and so hard, and we messed it up a few times, but when it was game time, he showed it.
But you got the first one at training camp, too.
Yeah, but now it's time to get one of the first one in my NFL career.
Looking back a few weeks ago to now, I mean, you were talking about how much you've practiced this and being as perfect as you can be. How different do you feel from maybe 2 weeks ago to now?
I feel like I'm settling in with the defense. I'm getting a lot more comfortable. I'm learning the audibles, the checks, and knowing where other people are supposed to be. I just got to keep stacking days.
I love this internal competition, by the way, of, well, he got one, now I have to go get one, because you have to like that with young defensive backs.
Yeah.
They're all scrappy, man. They're all hungry, and they're all kind of like super competitive, but also humble at the same time.
Yeah.
It's such a weird balance. Like Terrion Arnold,
The dude lives and breathes confidence.
He's so confident, but at the same time, he's also like down to earth.
Yeah.
And there's this beautiful combination that I think the Lions have specifically been seeking in player character, and it's starting to pile up. Like a bunch of these guys are on the team.
Team
now.
captain,
Yeah.
like plays hard. Those two guys are going to be compared to each other throughout their whole careers. That's what happens when you draft them 1-2 like they did, and so far they're both looking really good.
Each one plays a different style, though.
Yeah.
That's what I like, because they aren't the same guy.
No, and you really you would rather have two guys with different styles if they're going to be your two top corners.
All right, so we're going to talk about the kicker, so let's go ahead and do that. Jake Bates, I mean, you mentioned him not hitting it in that landing zone on that kickoff, but the guy also made a 53-yard field goal in the rain outdoors at MetLife Stadium. Is Jake Bates going to be this team's kicker once we get to week 1 against the Rams?
Yes.
He's the favorite, right? Because he's the only one really
he
on the
gonna be?
roster.
Sure.
I mean, it was a good confidence booster because from what we've heard, he hasn't looked very good at camp the last few days. So they asked him to go out there and hit a 53-yarder in the rain, like
He
you
was
said.
bored. He was bored.
Yeah, and he drilled it easily too. So I mean, it's a example of what he can do. It's just, can he be consistent? Can he make all the shorter kicks where the Lions need to make sure they get points?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Bates-alicious. The takeover is here. The era has begun. I'm fully on board. I'm not worried about the kickoff thing. Jack Fox is gonna handle that later. I'm not worried about
And
it.
it's such a weird concept for any kicker, because whether you're in college, he was a kickoff specialist in college. You're not used to that, because his job is to boom it through the end zone.
Yep. Now all the incentive that the NFL is trying to create is for returns, right? So like you said, if you kick it all the way through the end zone, they get it at the 30, which, that's not great either. So, yeah, you just got to land it as close as you can to the goal line without going in.
Yeah, they'll get used to it, right? Like it's gonna be weird, but I like it. I think it adds a new little fold. And the kickoffs were so boring; it was such a waste of time.
Yeah, it was the
for
worst
years.
thing was commercial. And then touchback, and then commercial. And it was just like, oh,
yeah, they're
man.
trotting onto the field.
Yeah, like
We'll
just
take it
do
over
the
break.
kick while it's commercials.
Yeah.
Save us the
I know,
time.
exactly.
Yeah,
Go with the double box.
exactly.
Well,
Let us know what happened.
maybe we can invent something new here. Yeah, I like this. All right, still much more to come here on Detroit Sports Plus. We'll be talking about the other quarterbacks in the NFC North who made their preseason debuts. 2 teams in the division having debuts from their QBs. You didn't know? They looked okay. We'll talk about that. And also a certain former coach for the Wolverines apparently coming back for the first game of the season over at the Big House. We'll discuss that and more coming up after the break. Welcome back to Detroit Sports Plus, along with Derek Hutchinson, Ken Haddad. I'm Hobie Artigue. And we had some debuts from some other NFC North quarterbacks. Of course, Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, making his debut with the Bears. And one J.J. McCarthy with the Minnesota Vikings. He was the number 2 quarterback to come in. Did okay.
I had a little FOMO, honestly, when I saw that all the other NFC quarterbacks were playing. I was like, couldn't Goff just throw one? Just one. Just let me make sure the arm still works.
That's
like,
what Jordan Love did. He threw one and then was
He
like,
did. He threw like a 60-yard touchdown and then threw on street clothes.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, he was on the sideline with like a T-shirt the rest of the game. It was interesting to see them. I wasn't expecting Jordan Love to play specifically. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams, toss-up. I didn't think he would play, but I guess he actually got a lot of reps. Mm-hmm. And J.J. McCarthy, he's got to play.
yeah.
Yes.
They're in a battle. So, I don't know. Caleb Williams, the debut, kind of scared me a little. I got to be honest. Like, he looked good. He looked good.
Did that scare you, or did their entire offense as a whole scare you? Because DJ Moore had some grabs. I mean, they have Keenan Allen.
I don't like
also
the
got
Bears.
Roma Dunze.
That trio of wide
about the
receivers
Bears.
is ridiculous.
It's
and
insane.
it's like you're just hoping if you're a Lions fan that Caleb Williams busts, because if he's good with that trio of wide receivers, it's going to be just a crazy
A lot of bootlegs in that game.
Yeah.
He had
So
a lot,
many.
a lot of design bootlegs.
Yeah.
But what I did like from him was the way he navigated the pocket. Because he's the type of guy, Justin Fields, a lot of times, if his first read wasn't there, he was using his
Gone.
legs and gone.
Yep.
Caleb Williams, we saw it in college, but we saw it in his, granted, preseason game, but we saw him do what he did in college in his first game as a pro, and that was manipulate the pocket to get the ball to where it needed to go.
Yeah.
And if he had receivers as strong as he does now when he was in college, comparatively, obviously, I think that he would have been a lot of his issues would have been fixed, because I saw Caleb Williams running around with nobody to throw to a lot in college.
Well, also, maybe he has a defense in Chicago, because the USC defense was so bad.
Yeah,
when
they
he was there.
sim defense.
He
at
had
USC.
he had to put up like 50 just to keep them in the
Right,
game
yeah,
every week.
He had to put up Heisman numbers
Yeah.
to keep his team
Of course, you're going to run out of gas in that scenario. It's unrealistic. But now he's got a fully loaded offense, a pretty good defense, and he's just got a lot of support around him.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a perfect situation to be successful as a rookie, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And that is a great segue, by the way, because those words are exactly what I used to describe J.J. McCarthy
Absolutely.
going to the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. had a pick on his first drive, but after that responded with 2 touchdown passes, including a bomb down the left field sideline. Your thoughts on J.J.?
I thought he looked awesome. And like you said, JJ is in a great spot. I mean, the Vikings were a couple of injuries away from the playoffs themselves last year, and he's got the best wide receiver in football. Mm-hmm. He's got a good tight end. I mean, it's like he was in such a good position in Michigan, and people were using that against him when he went to the NFL, but he's got a great situation here too. So I think JJ looked excellent in his first game.
I don't know why the Vikings are even playing this game with Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. Like, why would you play Sam Darnold? In this
They saw
scenario?
what the Cade McNamara battle did for J.J. McCarthy
they're
at
just
Michigan.
just messing with his head.
yeah.
No. JJ's next to the field goal post doing meditations, and he's not worried about all that.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, dump the Sam Darnold thing. Just go with J.J. McCarthy. He will look for upside. We need upside. You know what I mean? Like, what are they wasting time for?
But Sam Darnold also looked good in the series he got in the preseason. So I think I think they're going with experience too, because they don't want to throw J.J. McCarthy right out there, especially when they just paid Sam Darnold to come over.
I think it's a really smart way to play it. I mean, because when you name J.J. McCarthy the starter, you
ain't
really
going
can't,
back.
You can't put that cat back in the bag. So it's like you can afford to sort of ride Darnold at least through the preseason, create the illusion of a quarterback competition to sort of bring out the best in everybody. And yes, we all know.
That's best. I think as a coach, that's best long term for your young quarterback.
I think we all know who's going to be the quarterback of the Vikings by week 3 or 4, but it's just what happens between now and then.
Cowards.
All right, so you wanted to rank them.
Yes.
You wanted to rank the 4, or do we go 5 because it's J.J. McCarthy / Sam Darnold? The 4 starting quarterbacks of the NFC North.
For this season, we're saying,
for this
right?
season, at this point in time, going into it.
Okay, as a principle, I will not rank 2 rookies ahead of the other 2 guys after 1 preseason game. So for me, it's 2 tiers of 2 that we're going with, and both of them are very difficult decisions to make. I think for now I'd go Goff at 1. Jordan Love had as good of a season as Jared Goff, but he's only done it once. Jared Goff was a little bit more consistent, so I'm going to go Goff 1. and then Jordan Love 2, and Caleb Williams 3. Just because he was the best quarterback prospect coming out, and he did nothing to lose that title in his first game. JJ 4, and Sam Darnold nowhere.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to argue with that. But I will say, if we were drafting QBs right now, it's got to be Caleb Williams. I mean, just based on upside
I'd
and
take Jordan
potential.
Love 1 and Caleb Williams 2.
Why?
I think Jordan Love probably has just as long of a career in front of him, and we've seen him do it at the NFL level once, and that means a lot to me, because there's no bust potential in Jordan Love left. Is there a chance that he's not going to be as good as he was last year? Yes, but Caleb Williams still does have that small sliver of bust potential.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I think Jordan Love's going to come back down to earth a little bit this year. I don't believe that he's that good.
We're all hoping that. I mean, there's not really any evidence to that, but we are hoping it.
Yeah, there isn't. You're right. There isn't any evidence. It's just strictly based on nonsense.
Right.
But I just don't feel like he's going to be able to do that again. I just don't. Like, the way he was coasting through the second half of that season, it just seemed like teams weren't planning enough for him.
that being comfortable with being an NFL quarterback?
Yeah.
Because
I
if
mean,
you look
he
at
needed the
Jordan
time.
Love here on Thanksgiving at Ford Field,
That was rude.
Surgical.
that was just
Offensive.
perfection.
Yeah. That was
Perfection
That was
right there.
jarring, because it's hard to think back to the side. We thought we were going to roll the Packers. I mean, they beat them in Lambeau. The Lions were really in first place by a few games, and then what the Packers did was shocking. And that was kind of Jordan Love's coming out party, at least for me, viewing him as an elite quarterback.
I go with your rankings. I think that is spot on. Experience at the top, and then go from there.
I think they could be very different at this time next year, but that's what I'd go
It'll
with
be
for now.
interesting to see even mid-season. Let's
Yeah,
revisit
absolutely.
this
Yes.
mid-season. Once we hit week 8, 9, let's revisit and see if we have a different structure of that top 4.
Yep.
I'm not worried. I think Jared Goff is definitely the best quarterback in the division. I do. He is. Just
What would have to
believe
change
it.
your
I
mind?
just ranked him
What would
number
have to-
one.
what-
I know,
what
but
would
it-
have to change your mind? Him
Just like
regressing
a
or somebody
complete
making a
tank
jump?
job. No, him regressing for
Okay.
sure. Him regressing.
There's no doubt in my mind that Jared Goff has the lowest ceiling of the 4 quarterbacks. He is not mobile at all in an NFL where being mobile is a big advantage and is something that offensive coordinators play
He
with
doesn't
a
need
lot.
to be mobile.
But he also has the highest floor. And you know what? For a team that's built like the Lions, where they're so good around him, that's okay. That's probably the one that you would choose. He doesn't have to move because they got a great offensive line. He's got good weapons. He's got an elite tight end. Just don't lose the game, and occasionally he wins them a game.
a lot of times.
Do I think Jordan Love could be plugged into Jared Goff's spot and do what Jared Goff did last year? Probably. Yes.
Okay, this will be fun to revisit midway through the season. But let's move on to the start of another season, the college football season, and Michigan making a decision to have an honorary captain for their first game against Fresno State. One Jim Harbaugh said to be returning for that game. With all that is going around with him and the NCAA, what do you make of this call to have him come back to the big house, especially to revisit the championship season?
We don't have an hour-long show, so I'm going to have to dumb down my comments a little bit here. But first of all, the timing makes it look like Michigan is obviously responding to the NCAA, and I think in a way they were. But bringing back your national championship coach on the day you unveil your national championship banner is not that controversial in my mind. Like, Michigan, he just resurrected the program over a decade. They won a national championship when most of us honestly didn't think they probably would in our lifetimes again. And sure, he left, but he left on good terms, and it's going to be super high vibes at the game. So, yeah, bring him back. Everybody's going to be happy. And look, the NCAA thing, I mean, it's not like Jim Harbaugh is being put in front of, an unbiased audience. He's being put in front of Michigan fans. So
Sure.
it's going to be, he's going to get cheered by everybody, and it's going to be a good time.
I don't think there was any scenario where Jim Harbaugh wasn't coming to that game.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean,
the
it's
Chargers
like-
are off.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else is he going to do? Like, why wouldn't he go to that game?
Yeah.
to help celebrate the championship he won. I think it's a lot about nothing. It is very funny timing, though.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
considering
They probably
the-
had this planned out.
Oh, of course.
a while back.
I mean, just considering the Harbaugh and university stance on the whole NCAA thing,
Yeah.
it adds an element of comedy to the
Yeah,
whole thing.
it does,
But
yeah.
it was an inevitability.
It's
Like,
just
he was always going to be.
it's such an incredible coincidence that the NCAA happened to release all this right before the season, and that's why the timing of this happened,
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's just,
What are you trying
what are
to
the
say?
chances?
Derek?
What are the chances? But I agree with you. Why wouldn't the head coach of a championship team come back for this?
It would be weird if he wasn't there.
Would it be? That's a good point.
They'd be like, where's Jim Harbaugh? Is he
Does he not
scared
like
'cause
us
of the
anymore?
The
investigation?
face of the turnaround of the program. Yeah, he's not doing anything this week, but yeah, we just decided to keep him in LA.
Yeah. He's preparing for the season opener, making sure Justin Herbert's ready to go.
As far away from a bad look, I think, as it can get, in my opinion.
As far away?
Yes. Yes. Jim Harbaugh should be back in that stadium for that game. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
All right, still,
leave him alone.
still much more to come here on Detroit Sports Plus. We're going to dive into the Olympics, closing ceremonies wrapping up last night. What were some of our top moments from Paris? We'll discuss that coming up after the break. The 2024 Paris Olympics officially in the books, and there were so many memorable moments. From the basketball court to the pool to the gymnastics floor. What was your iconic moment of these games?
I guess I'll take the most obvious one since you're looking at me first. Steph Curry winning finishing out the gold medal for Team USA. It was really fun to actually get to root for Steph Curry because we haven't rooted for like a single good basketball player in this town for like a decade. So to be where Steph Curry was actually on the team that you were rooting for, and when he was hitting like 4 threes in 5 possessions to seal the win, that was awesome.
Yeah, like now I know what it feels like to be a Warriors fan, and
Yeah.
I'm really jealous. That was fun, man. Like just seeing Steph go off, take over the game. Usually he's doing it to your team or someone else's team, doing it for the team you're rooting for. Beautiful.
I would make the argument though that the women's basketball gold medal game was even better. That was as tense as it gets because Team USA had a 60-game winning streak at the Olympics going into that, going for an 8th straight gold medal, and then France is giving them all they got. And we're talking about inches from that game going into OT.
And the other thing about that, sort of the subplot, I know a lot of people like me were probably looking at the gold medal count, and it was really coming down to the wire, and we needed one more gold medal to tie China. So we really needed that game. And so I was sweating because I was kind of counting that one as a win.
Yeah.
And it was a lot closer than I expected.
Noah Lyles winning by the hair of a torso.
Yeah.
That was just an exceptional moment. Simone Biles leading the team gymnastics back to win the gold early on in the day 3 of the Olympics. That was a great table setter for the US, for Team USA. But the best thing about the Olympics, guys, was the gold zone. Okay. The gold zone.
You're back on the gold zone.
The gold zone was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I want everything to be gold zone. So can we make this gold zone? Actually, Aaron, can we make this gold zone? That would be great.
TBD. She said no. TBD. How about there? But also Katie Ledecky in the pool. And to your point, Simone Biles. I mean, after what happened in the last Olympics, for her to get back on top and finish Paris that way was just incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully this was an incredible show here on Detroit Sports Plus. We like to think so. But for Derek, for Ken, I'm Hobie. We'll see you guys next time at 2:00 on Local 4 Plus. Yeah?
Yep. Talking Lions Chiefs.
Oh, get ready. Does Patrick Mahomes play? Do the Lions starters play?
No chance.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, man. How about that's TBD too?
Yeah.
All right. That's it for us today. We'll see you guys next time.